Prison is the last place I'd want to be, but Rikers Island is a whole different monster. Also known as Hell on Earth, this New York prison located in the Bronx is one of the most dangerous prisons in the United States. This place is filled with pain and misery, and today I'm going to tell you about its origin and how it even got that reputation. Rikers Island was bought in 1664 by a man named Abraham Riken. Then in 1884, New York City purchased the island for $180,000. They didn't start making jails until the 1930s, which was actually a landfill before this. So you can imagine what kind of regard these people had for the inmates staying here. This place is trash. Literally. Rikers Island was built on top of a dumping ground, which is actually how the island grew from under 100 acres to over 413 over time. The garbage underneath the prison started to decompose after a while, causing a poisonous methane gas to emit from the bottom of the island, making it toxic to the inmates and the people who work on the island, and the smell is not pleasant. I don't even know where to start with this one, but violence in Rikers Island is about as contagious as the coronavirus itself, with beatings, stabbings, lack of medical care, rape, abuse of power by correctional officers, and violence on the correctional officers themselves. This place has become a hotspot for the utmost savagery. In 2022, the death rate peaked at an all-time high, with 19 inmates dying that year. And the most evil part about it is that 80% of the inmates haven't even been convicted for any crimes yet, waiting on their court dates for years.
Correction officer at Rikers. Just a day after an officer was stabbed 15 times, another is recovering with a broken nose and eye injury. The Officers Benevolent Association shared this photo of the injured officer. The attack happened yesterday as another officer remains hospitalized after being stabbed 15 times in the back of the head on Monday. The union will hold a news conference at 1 p.m. to give an update. The city has resisted calls for a third-party administrator to run Rikers, asking a federal judge for a chance to make changes. The city must show progress on this issue on November 17th.
The infrastructure of this place is falling apart, badly, because other people's garbage isn't the best building support. There have been reports of rain leaking through the ceilings and blankets being used to catch all the water flooding in the building. Catching a disease or an infection in this place is highly likely due to there being literal shit on the walls, on top of a literal landfill, if I haven't made that clear already. Lack of healthcare, food that's barely edible, lack of ventilation, a broken plumbing system, and overcrowded prison cells that's able to make the most hardened inmate beg for their freedom.
Another damaging report about the conditions at Rikers Island. This time there are graphic details about unsanitary conditions, fire safety, and the ventilation systems.
CBS 2 political reporter Marcia Kramer joins us now with more. Marcia.
Well, Alice and Maurice, the report comes as Mayor Adams and Correction Commissioner Louis Molina are fighting desperately to convince a federal judge not to appoint an outside receiver to run the jails. And this report doesn't help their case.
As a whole, at these facilities, which not only are rife with abuse and violence, but also are just crumbling around people, and which reflect a lack of priorities to fix what can be fixed, that the appointment of a federal monitor can only improve those conditions.
Legal aid attorney Veronica Vila talking about the latest report from a federal monitor documenting dangerous health and safety conditions at the various jails that make up the Rikers Island Correction Complex. The 150 pictures in the report paint a stomach-turning picture of dirty toilets, wash basins, sinks, and other personal hygiene facilities.
There have been many protests to shut down Rikers Island once and for all. Mayor Adams has announced the plan to shut down Rikers Island, and by law they have to shut this place down by August 31st, 2027, which is not the most likely. They're trying to replace Rikers Island with a jail that has 4 facilities, which is going to cost a mind-blowing $8 billion. But anyways, you let me know your opinions on this project.
Mayor Adams called on the city council to rethink the plans to close Rikers in 2027. He says it's a public safety issue, and if Rikers is closed, thousands of dangerous criminals will end up on the street.
Are we as a city willing to say that 2,000 extremely dangerous people because we don't have enough space, we're going to turn them back onto the streets and back to the communities that they committed these crimes in the first place.
The mayor also pointed out that the cost of building 4 jails, community jails in the Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, and Brooklyn have skyrocketed.